Well, I first knew Dick in junior high. Not too much then, but when we went to high school, I wanted to go out with him, and he wouldn't give me a tumble, so he would stand in the hall out by the study hall, and when I'd come by, he'd say, "Hi, Goldie," because somewhere he found out my middle name and knew that I would not like to be called that. And so I knew he liked me. So went clear through high school, not a tumble. And last day of school, my girlfriend and I thought, we got to figure out a way. And I thought, I'll never see him again if I don't do something, because he ain't going to give me a tumble. So we decided, Dolores, my good friend from way back in first grade, she said, give me those books. I'm going to put them in his car, and then I'm going to find him and say, hey, I know somebody that needs a ride home. So she did. She put him in. She went and found him. She put the books in the car. I don't know how I got to the car. I don't remember that part. But I did. And we went for a ride out in the Swedish hills. Instead of taking me home, we went for a ride. That's out by the egg house out in here. And we drove all around, and I dumped the other guy. And we started going together then all the time. And and we ran around with Connie and Ken Kramer. And Ken had a car, an old jalopy, and for fun, we went riding up and down the avenue, over the sewer things, down, up and over and up and over and up and down the avenue. That's what we did. And we did a lot of things. Went to the drive-in movies and
Okay.
what else?
That's good. Let's see. Well, all right, I'll pause it for a second.
About when we used to, all four of us ride in the milk truck. That's the only way we could get to see him. He worked 7 days a week.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it on? Well, they started the farm pickup milk route with cans, he and his dad. And
Then they went to the big.
then they went to the bought a bulk truck and picked it up that way. And he worked 7 days a week. And so did his dad. And when the kids were little, he would come by the house on Plain Street when he got a lot of them picked up out in the country, and he'd pick us up, and we'd all get in the milk truck and ride to Dixie Dairy in Gary. And kids would get free chocolate milk there and come back home then. And
It was 7 days a week, right?
what?
7 days a week he drove the
He
truck.
did. He and his dad both worked 7 days a week. Sometimes, when his dad worked for the city, when he was street superintendent, he'd work that job 5 days and the milk route 2 days on the weekends.
What do you remember about his parents?
Well, I can remember the first time I saw his dad, just like it was yesterday. Right. Connie and Ken, we were going somewhere, and we had to pick Dick up, and we pulled up out in front of the Hunsley house on Holcomb Street, and I'm in the back, and they had never seen me before. I didn't go in, but I'm in the back seat, and we were going to pick him up, pulled up there, and walking out in front was his dad walking the dog. And he looked in the car, and I bet he thought, now I wonder who she is. you know? I didn't go in or anything. That's the first time I saw his dad. I I remember that like yesterday. So that would have been in 1950. That's when we started going together, the last day of high school.
All right. I wanted to hear. I you really didn't dance.
We didn't dance, no. We pretended we were at the reception.
So all those pictures are fake.
Fake.
There was no song. Did you guys have a song that you like?
Nope.
No song.
Mm-mm.
That's funny because
We didn't do things then, at least at ours, like now. There was no throwing of the garter business, none of that. I think I threw my bouquet.
got that picture.
Um, it was a simple reception. There was no liquor. Um, I remember what I wore when we left for Niagara Falls. Oh, that's kind of funny. I wore a yellow linen suit with a corsage, and we had that new blue Dodge. That's the only thing we had. And they had all this junk tied on the back of the car when we went out, and we carried that stuff right up to the front door of the LaSalle Hotel. And so instead of stopping and pulling it off, the LaSalle Hotel was a big thing to stay in those days, wasn't no air conditioning or anything. And we pulled up there, and there was a guy out there to, what do you call him? Doorman or something. Pull right up with all that trash behind our car. Did you see it? What was it a night? Somewhere it was written down what it was per night there. I don't remember. Wasn't much. Um,
You drove all the way home.
Couple dumb little kids, barely 20 years old.
Yeah. I can't believe there wasn't a song. You don't remember? Okay, you don't remember like any popular songs from that time that you guys liked?
I don't know if we had the song always played at our wedding or not. I don't remember what was played.
Is there anything else you remember about your wedding? No. Okay.
We started out across from the Eagles on, I think it's B Street, in an upstairs apartment. We were getting that ready before we got married, and the landlord was living downstairs, and she hollered at us when we came there to clean things up and get ready to live there. She was a crabby old woman, and we found out after we had rented it. We went there and we cleaned things up, and then got married, went on our honeymoon, came back, spent one night in that place on B Street, and my sister came knocking on the door, and she says, "Hey, I know a better apartment around down the street here," which was right by Ruth. It's a lot nicer and bigger than this. Are you interested? Harold delivered mail there, and he knew the apartment was going to be for rent. And do you want to come and look at it? We said, yeah, because this old lady's a crab, and we're not even living here yet. So we went and looked at it and liked it, and moved what little bit we had over to that one. It was a nice big 2-story house and a nice apartment. And I can remember after I got pregnant, we didn't want the landlords there on D Street to know already we're going to have a baby. And we went out and got a baby buggy, a nice one. Nice big, not like they use now. It was a nice big carriage, and we were so proud of that. And we thought, where are we going to put that? in case the landlord comes up here, we don't want her to see that. And there was a landing near the steps. You come up the steps like this, and there was this landing over here, and that was just the only spot we could put it in. So we put it there and covered it up with a sheet. So if she came, she wouldn't see it. Because, he was born 9 months after we were married.
Mhm. Can you talk about Plain Street? Anything you're
Yeah, that's where we went after D Street. And we went there. Oh, Gary was about, we had Christy when we lived on Plain, and Gary was 2 years old when she was born. And it was on the other corner from Lawrence and Ina May, and they found out that house was going to be for sale and told us and said, hey, could you be interested in that right on the other corner from us? And we thought, well, that might be kind of nice, and lived on the other end of the block from them for with from them for 13 years and went back and forth. They helped us with the kids when we needed help, and they were a big help to us. She gave Christy perms when she was a little kid, and she looked so cute, and they did a lot for us when we lived there.
enjoyed the most?
He liked the milk route. Um, and it's been said he must have liked sitting behind that windshield. Solitude, and I think Gary is the same way. Well, Gary grew up in that milk truck and got to loving trucks, and he's still trucking. Um, I'm trying to think how I got that job at Transit. Well, Judy Keene, my sister's daughter, worked at Transit in the office. And her dad, Don Keene, I think, put in a good word for Dick to bust Jesse. And so he had a little pull there. I think that's how I got that job. I think Don put a good word in for him.
All right. Are there any memories that stand out? Anything about involving Grandpa and like Gary or my mom when they were growing up? Anything that stands out? Good stuff. I know there's probably some stuff that's not good. Stands out.
Oh, boy. Anything that stands out in my mind about him.
Can you imagine to think about it? We can pause it.
Yeah.
It was a big party here, and you had
The whole house.
boys and the girl.
Yep. We had tiki lights outside. The basement had part of it there, part of it right here.
Did you wear your wedding dress on that day?
No, but I wore a long, real pretty ivory dress. Lot of people. Do you want me to tell you something funny that okay, um, my mom's niece came from Elkhart to that, and we just had them parked all over here. Front yard was full and everything, and this niece and her husband, he was one that would say whatever he thought. He didn't care who was around. So some way or other, he's out here in the front yard after he got here directing traffic. And while he's directing traffic, up comes a minister and his wife. And he told him where to park, but the minister was going to park where he wanted to park, and he did. And Ed went over there and he says, "What the hell you parking over here for? I told you to park over there." And found out later that's our minister. That was a funny thing. Um, yeah, we had the bed in the garage. We set up tables out there and we ate out there too. They all wore Hawaiian shirts. Um, it was nice. Then we went to Hawaii.
Okay. Do you remember anything about that? About their relationship or
Well, they lived with us for 7 years. Uh, well, yeah, Dick had to kind of be grandfather and father, so to speak, of Philip.
did he enjoy that?
Oh, of course. That was our first grandchild. I can remember when he was born, and Dick was so proud of that boy. We not long after he was born, we went uptown to Levine's Boston store, which is no longer there. Now it's an antique mall, and he had to carry the baby in, you know. And I can remember we went in there, and somebody we went to school with was working there, and he just took that baby right. He said, "Look, this is my first grandchild." And he was so proud of him. And
Okay. Uh, let's see. I'm trying to figure out how I mean, obviously, he was proud of his grandkids, but, what do you think stands out in his mind about his grandkids or anything he used to say that we wouldn't know about or anything about his grandkids? I don't know. Maybe that's a bad question.
I don't know. I don't have an answer.
He's just proud of us, no matter what we did,
Mhm.
it seemed like he was proud. You couldn't upset him, like, you couldn't disappoint it. No matter what you did, you couldn't disappoint him. You agree with that?
Yeah.
Alright.
I can remember when we moved into this house. We had sold our house on Plain Street and had this house started here. So we took all our furniture and belongings and moved in on Johnson Road, across from Critchfield School, in a two-story house that was rented to us. With the it was for sale, and we rented that with the understanding that if that house was sold, we had to move. We didn't know where we were going, but we just sort of kept our fingers crossed it didn't sell till we could get out of there. And it turned out to be a whole year before this house was ready. And we um we knew the man that owned the house, and he said, "I'll tell you if," because he didn't live in LaPorte and he wanted his yard taken care of, his shrubs trimmed and everything. So he said, "I'll make a deal with you. If you do some painting in there and fix it up inside a little bit while you're living there and keep the shrubs trimmed and just take care of things around here, that would help me a lot since I don't live here. And I'll make you a good deal on the rent if you'll do that." We said, "Good deal." So we did that. And right at 1 year, when the house here was ready, somebody came along and bought that house. We just barely made it. And I don't know, somebody else might remember. We had loads of people help us move. Back then we had so much stuff it was ridiculous to move, and we had loads of help. Um, we didn't have a moving van or nothing. We moved by pickup and cars and all that. And I can remember some of them, and I think we worked till midnight getting our stuff in here. And I remember somebody saying, I never saw a couple that had so much stuff already. Now look how long ago that's been. We've been here 38 years. And you can imagine now how much stuff we got.
Um, that just reminded me of something. Grandpa, I remember he used to come home from his days in Chicago. He used to find stuff. He used to find stuff while he was in Chicago.
Oh,
Home.
yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, right down the basement is 4 of them. He would see things in trash bins that were good stuff, like offices would throw them out and they were still good. Right down in our basement now, we've got 4 good leather chairs. Um, Still have them. Oh, that's just one thing I can think of he brought home.
How often did he bring stuff home?
Oh, not too often. Anything like that. You know how he couldn't take him back to the dock. 4 chairs. Should I tell what he did? He took them and he put them somewhere out along the highway in a ditch and let them, went back to the dock, got the car or truck, whichever he had then, went back and loaded them up and brought them home. Because he wasn't supposed to pick up stuff like that and bring it back.
But
I never knew what he was going to drag in. Some was good and some wasn't.
uh, can you remember how he felt when Danny was born or anything like?
Oh, we were both so proud. Our first great grandchild. We were both just busting at the seams. That your first grandchild and your first great, you're so lucky to live to see those. A great grandchild, and we've lived to see 4 of those. And then we have that step great granddaughter. Very fortunate to live that long.
All right.
After he retired, I thought he'd be down there in that workshop all the time, but he wasn't. He could have built a lot of things, and I don't know why he didn't go down there as much as I thought he would after he retired. I think more he liked to be outside riding that tractor than be down there in the basement, but he did like to go down there and make those rugs. Um, he'd go down there and play his country music on the radio, make rugs. And
Do you remember anything about the fair that he'd talk about? Any, obviously that was really special to him. But do you remember him coming home ever one time or saying something about fair? Anything that stands out?
well, he liked Dick Reel a lot, as everybody does. The the visitation and funeral for Dick was just unbelievable how many people came. I thought there'd be a lot of people, but never expected as many came. And what I thought was so great was people from our class of 1950 came, and I counted a total of 10 from our class that came. And I thought that was so nice because we never were close to these people that came. Well, some we were and some we weren't. So I was surprised to see some of them. But I'll never forget at the funeral, those grandkids standing up there and were able to say what they wanted to say. I'll never forget seeing them up there. And what Rick Abbott had to say about Dick, I'll never forget that. because he has come out here and look. Dick would show him his shop, and he was amazed. And well, he's gotten all these tools, not all of them, a lot of them from my dad when he died, a lot of them from his dad when he died, and then things he's bought and, you know, um, and I'll never forget our neighbor next door trying to get up there and talk, and he just cried and talked and had such a terrible time. But he said what he wanted to say, and I was proud of Gary for getting up there because that was so hard for him to get up there and say anything. It was really a good service, I thought, and a lot of people thought a lot of him, and me too.